Hey guys, this is Jason Douglas.
Zada MacArthur, voice of Yuji Itadori.
This is Derek Snow, the voice of Shinra Kusakabe.
This is Phil Parsons, voice of Kenny the Ripper Ackerman.
It's Merc Nguyen. You're watching Voice of the Heroes. Take it away, Flea Boy.
What's good, everybody? You know who it is and what it is. And if you don't, it's the one and only one, Flea Boy Jetson. And you're watching the Voice of the Heroes podcast. If you're tuning in for the first time, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, click that notification bell so you can be notified whenever we have great discussions or interviews with your favorite heroes or villains from around the world. And today, we have a very special guest. She's been in games like Mortal Kombat 9, NX, as Katana, Melina, and Sindel. Multiple Sonic games as Rouge the Bat. She's also been in some of the best anime shows like Sword Art Online, Bleach, Sailor Moon, Rider, and Fate Stay Night. Unlimited Blade Work, which is, my God, one of the best titles and one of my favorite animes of all time. She's also voiced over 400 different characters throughout the animation world, video games, live action. Let's welcome Karen Strassman. How you doing? Strassman to the channel.
Strassman, yeah. Thank you, Flea Boy.
Well, welcome. I'm excited to have you on.
Your voice is so melodic.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I never heard that one before.
Are you a musician? Do you rap?
No, I actually don't, to be honest with you. I wish I could. I definitely wish I could. But we're definitely going to sit here and we're going to talk some great animes and some of the video games that you've been in. Let's start off with everybody's fan favorite, Soi Fon. What was your initial reaction when you found out they was adapting the 1,000-Year Blood War arc and returning to play some of these beloved characters?
I was ecstatic. I was thrilled.
Soi Fon has a very distinct and nonsense personality. How did you approach voicing to capture that intensity?
She taught me a lot because I tend to be in life, like my everyday persona, as Karen, tends to be a lot more gentle than her. I grew up more as a people pleaser, and she's like an alter ego of mine now. Badass, tough, doesn't take shit. And I think that being a voice actor, being an actor, I get to embody all these characters that aren't who I am in my everyday life, but, alter egos that get to come through. And I love that. I love that.
I love it for you because you're right. Just from meeting you, it's like two different personalities. And I love the range because that just goes along to show your range of your talent for these characters. And Soi Fon has some intense fight scenes. How do you prepare recording battles like grunts, screams, and that high level energy? Those really high level lines.
I park my car in the studio. I get out. I arrive at the session. I get a bottle of water and a cup of tea, and I step into the studio and say, let's do it.
Okay, that's what's up. So we are going on our final season of Bleach. Part 4 is scheduled sometime this year, I believe. Is this gonna be it? Is this like the conclusion?
I don't know. I hope not. As an actor, we're not part of those high upper echelon decisions. So we once everything's set up, we get the call to come into the studio and record. But otherwise, often we know less than the fans do about what's coming out. I hope not.
So what? I love the fact that y'all got to come back for a second time. That's amazing. And for some it's a full circle moment because Bleach took a huge hiatus before coming back. And the animation, the quality of the new Bleach series is just fantastic. The high ratings that it's getting on IMDb's and other platforms is great. So kudos to every one of y'all, man. I love the anime personally. Johnny Young Bosch is actually like my GOAT. He's one of my favorite voice actors of all time. So to see him come back as Ichigo was phenomenal. But now let's get to the Mortal Kombat side of things because this is something I'm excited to come back talk about. Excuse me. It's definitely known for some of them intense scenes as well and brutal fights. Um, was it stressful on the voice doing all those screams and stuff like that?
For Katana, less, but for Melina, who has a very specific gravel to it, yeah, like when I had to scream as her, it was it was pretty stressful. I had to rest my voice for a day afterwards.
Okay, I do got one more question about Bleach before we get to the next Katana question because I definitely want to piggyback off what you said about Katana. Bleach has a very dedicated fan base. Well, do you have any memorable interactions related to Soi Fon?
So many. I mean, I have so many fantastic conversations at conventions with fans. And there's a lot of people who cosplay Soy Fon.
You
And
see any really, really good ones?
God, so many, so many. And I also play Momo Hinomore, and
That's right, you do.
and it's fun because different fans like have a penchant for different characters, you know? And there's some like there's some that just come in and we just talk like for a long time about what happened to Momo. And for those who haven't seen it yet, I won't say anything, but something horrible happened to her. And thank God she's come back. But, she's a very, very special soul. And then, fans come up and we can talk for a long time about, Soi Fon and her relationship with Yoruichi. And I'm so grateful for the fans' love of these characters.
Fans be having really a lot of requests when going to the cons, like, what's your favorite line, things that you might sign on Funkos or portraits and things like that. What's the most demanding line from Soy Fon or Momo that you get?
Um, Probably Suzume Bachi.
Oh, the Bankai. Okay. Now let's get back to the katana question because I do want to talk about because when I read the IMDb, right, it blew my mind because I never like really listened to the voices like that. But now that I think about it and even look back to it, Katana has portrayed like such a noble and more disciplined voice, while Melina is more wild and unpredictable. How did you balance these two vastly different personalities?
Um, we recorded them separately. So we did one session or one segment of the session always with Katana, and then we do another segment of the session with Melina or another session. And so, in the game they talk to each other. But in this particular instance, I've done a lot of cartoons and animation where I do the character and I talk to myself during the session. But in the particular session, they were separate. So when I was Katana, I was full on Katana. And when I was Melina, I was full on Melina. And they're so different that I just dropped into each different personality and dropped into who they are, in those moments. So there wasn't really any concern about crossover because I was just full on each one during those recordings.
Okay, great. What was your favorite line or moment in that Mortal Kombat series?
I think my favorite line of all time is when Melina says, "Let's dance. Let's dance."
All right. Now you also played the Mother Sindel, which has more of a powerful and commanding presence. How did you approach voicing her compared to the daughters, Melina and Katana?
Um, in Mortal Kombat, I played her.
Yeah, that's what it said, I believe.
Really? I have no memory of that. That's crazy.
Maybe you did some additional work for her?
I did some additional voices and I don't remember. At the end of every session, sometimes we do additional voices, and I've done like thousands of additional voices for my life, like thousands. So I don't remember that. So I can't answer that question. And that's a completely normal thing. You know, I'll do a session with the known characters and they'll be like, do this one. And I'll completely forget. Like I've done thousands in my
What do you
career.
think is your most awkward one? Like they was like, hey, can you sound like this monster, or can you sound like this robot? What do you think was like the most awkward voice you had to create on the spot?
Voice I've ever had to create. Awkward. No. I don't know. I can't think of one right now. I've had a lot of challenging voices.
Which one was the challenging one?
Really challenging one that came out so good, but I was so terrified of it was, oh God, what's her name? She has a very complicated name. She's the tennis player in, I'd have to look her up. That was so much fun. And I have a print of her. I have a print of her that I bring to cons. What's that?
I forgot. I really don't watch too many sport animes. I'm starting to get into them though.
Let's swing around to that, and I'm gonna find her name for you because she's super cool.
All right, bet. Let's talk about a character that you're really familiar with and is a fan favorite, Rouge the Bat. Rouge is confident, sassy, and mysterious. How did you approach voicing her to bring those traits out?
Rouge. Rouge is kind of, I mean, the company told me what they were looking for. You know, they want her playful and flirtatious and sexy. And then for different games, we kind of have a different level. Some she's a lot more flirtatious and sexy, and some she's kind of more cool and laid back. But I kind of picture her as a mix between Jessica Rabbit, Marilyn Monroe, and then there's just a little bit of Judy Garland from The Wizard of Oz that'll kind of slip in sometimes. And she kind of ends up being a mix of those things.
I love that. If you could describe Rouge in 3 words, what would they be?
Sexy, flirtatious, badass.
I love it. Rouge. Now let's talk spinoff. If she was to ever get one, what kind of story would you love to see?
I'd love to see her leading the hunt for the jewels, and I'd love to see her developing even more relationships with the other characters, getting even more playful and teaming up with them even more. You know, like Rouge and Sonic.
That would be dope.
Yeah.
Did you get to see the new Sonic movies?
Not yet. No. But I hope I'll get to see it soon.
Would you like to see Rouge the Bat in a future Sonic movie? Because they're bringing a lot of those characters in. They already got Knuckles and Tails in there. They just introduced Shadow and Amy, I believe. I think Rouge is probably on that train on her way.
I think she is, and usually they have, celebrities play them. I mean, I'm a celebrity, but I'm more of a minor celebrity. Usually they have the big celebrities play them. But, if I could have my wish come true, it could be to play Rouge and in the big movies.
Well, you've been in shows like The Rookie, NCSI Origins, CSI Vegas, games like Fortnite, Sonic, Mortal Kombat, shows, anime shows like Bleach, Sailor Moon, Hunter x Hunter. What is the most challenging one for you? Or is they all pretty much the same?
I did a very sexy, horrid ghoul in Fallout Vegas. And she was like, it's like she used to be a stripper and then she became like a zombie ghoul. And we did hours and hours of recording on that. And her voice was like even more rough and disturbing than Melina's. That was like really, really rough on my voice. I think after that, I left the studio after our last day on that. And I was like, they're like, Karen, that was amazing, great, And I was like, bye, you guys. They're like, Karen, are you okay? I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be okay. I had no, just because it was so, the vocal stress of it was so
Oh man.
like if you play that game and you come across her, she's so cool. So it was worth it,
Hey, and I'm excited for the series, man. The Fallout series on Amazon Prime. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's a great watch.
I have not seen it yet, but I've heard really cool things.
Now, also, you actually worked on the first Dune game ever. And I found that fascinating because I didn't even know there was a Dune game. Do you remember that project?
Yes, I do. That was forever ago. Yeah,
Was that
yeah.
one of your first projects when you first started voice acting?
No, I voice acted for many years before then, but that's a very well-known project that had a lot of success.
If you was to see if you was to see any of the anime shows you've been a part of turn into a live action, which one would it be?
Any of the anime, I'd love to, well, you know what? My favorite anime that I've ever done and ever seen is a show called Monster. And I believe it's actually, I think it's on Netflix or another, very few people saw it because it didn't have a wide release. And Guillermo del Toro actually optioned it for a live action show many years ago. And I don't know if he still has the option or not, but it is dark and disturbing and complex and moving and beautiful. I played one of the lead characters. Her name was Anna and Nina because she was sort of two characters at once. She had two identities. And it is just the disturbing poetry of that anime and the art is spectacular. And I think it would make a really beautiful, dark, poetic, intriguing live action. And again, it's called Monster. And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's my favorite anime of all time.
Great. Now we're coming to the end of the show. I got a few more questions for you before you get up out of here. But if we was to create a Mount Rushmore of voice actors, who would be on your Mount Rushmore?
A lot of people talk about like the person that inspired them or the talents that led them to become a voice actor. And for me, Flea Boy, you have no idea. Fans don't even know the immense amount of talent that there is out there. And there's a couple people who are famous. There's a handful of voice actors that everybody's like, oh my God. But like, for example, I was in the studio working on a project with 6 different actors yesterday. And, some are well-known like me and, some go to conventions and some are just hard working, incredibly talented people. And like each time every actor got up to the mic, I was in awe of what they were able to do. And so the people that I would name are voice actors that I'm in the studio with every week, in and out, that I see just the most incredible talent come out of. And for me, it's actually not like the big names that everybody knows of. It's these everyday working actors who I get to work with, and who some people know, you know, but the amount of talent that exists in this whole talent pool of voice actors is just, I learn every day from my colleagues, every single day. Every single.
Amazing. Because I feel like voice actors are kind of different from, they're one and the same, because, you know, to even be a voice actor, you have to be an actor. That's what makes, you know, that's what brings the emotion out of it. But I feel like y'all are more united, especially when it comes to, you know, just the industry in general. Like, you'll see more casts at conventions or on strikes or whatever it is, whatever y'all doing together. And I find that amazing.
It's, I would say competition amongst us is very, very rare, because we all know how talented we each are, and we all know that somebody's going to get the role and they're going to do great. And we also, there's not a lack of work. So I know if somebody books this role, I'm going to be booking this role, and there's enough work to go around, and we cheer each other on. We're there for each other. It's really, I mean, it's competitive in that I'm always competing for roles. Like, I audition several times a day. I'm constantly reading auditions, and so are all my colleagues. So it's competitive in that, you know, there's 500 people who submit for one role, or 1,000 people who submit for one role, and only one person can get it. It's competitive in that way, but we're not, you know, backstabbing or competitive against each other. I don't book a role, I hear that a friend did it, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad they got that. And again, I know I'm successful enough. I know I'm going to book, you know, something else. And there's a real support system, a real camaraderie. And I think the fans pick up on it. And I think it's a really good role modeling as well, you know, to know that we each our success and support each other.
Yeah, I find that amazing, to be honest with you. Now, do you have any upcoming projects or conventions coming up that you're able to talk about?
I can talk about the conventions. I'm going to be at a huge convention, NostalgiaCon, in Colorado, in Denver, in April. And I have a couple others lined up. You can go to my Instagram page, that's at Karen Strassman. You can go to my my own webpage, my own website, www.karenstrassman.com. And I always have all my upcoming conventions. I also teach. So I teach online on Zoom. So if people want to coach with me, I teach with various institutions, but they're mostly on Zoom. Some are in person in Los Angeles. But I mean, I have actors from Australia, from Germany, from Japan, from Wisconsin, from Alaska, who hop online and come to my classes. And those are on Zoom. And you can find out about them through my Instagram at Karen Strassman, or my webpage. And I work with all levels. So each class, if you sign up for a class, I'll work with you at your level. So if I have some working pros, I'll work with them and challenge them at the working pro level. If I have somebody who's never done a voiceover class before but wants to come in and try, I'll work with them at their level, and we'll usually celebrate like, oh my God, your first class.
That's awesome. So let people know what the website is one more time and where they can follow you at.
So my website is karenstrassman.com. And you can follow me at Karen Strassman on Instagram, at Karen Strassman on the X thing.
Well, this has been our episode with Karen Strassman. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, love yourself, pass that love on, and love others. And if nobody told you so, just know your boy love you. Until next time, heroes. We're out of here.
Sing it with me.